So today's class will be about conflict within the organization. My name is Ms. Butcher and I want to welcome you to today's lesson. So what are your objectives for this video? First, watch and listen attentively to the video. Define the term conflict within your own words and share how you can recognize negative and positive conflict in your personal life. Lastly, identify at least 3 potential sources of conflict within the workforce. So conflict is something that occurs every day, even between family and friends. In fact, conflict impacts all of us. So what is our definition though for conflict? Well, it is a clash of interests, ideas, or objectives between one or more individuals within an organization. It can actually be placed within 2 main categories, either positive or negative conflict. So let's look on at 2 scenarios and see if you can spot the difference between positive and negative conflict. So in scenario 1, 2 sales teams have different approaches to marketing a new promotional event. The manager then holds a meeting to discuss the different viewpoints with the aim of brainstorming the way forward. Now in scenario 2, the department manager uses insulting and demeaning language. He usually shouts at the employees and ignores any of their complaints or suggestions. Were you able to guess which one was positive or negative? If you guessed scenario 1 for positive conflict, you were right, because this can be described as where there are disagreements about how the business should progress, but there are also clear and open communication channels for airing these disagreements. So good managers would encourage the sharing of ideas. What about scenario 2? Of course, scenario 2 was negative conflict. And that's because there are open disagreements that lead to unpleasantness and a failure to arrive at commonly shared plans for achieving organizational goals. Now, negative conflict tends to focus on personal differences and personalities rather than logical thinking. So if the company continues to have this kind of negative conflict, of course it will suffer. Now I want you to think. Now that you know what positive and negative conflict is, can you think of any situations with your friends and families where you've encountered these types of conflict? Share what you know. So let's go on to sources of conflict. I want you to look on at the following scenario and see if you can find what the source of conflict is. So Evie is a good and competent employee. So by the end of the day, all of her tasks are usually completed. On the other hand, Kate hardly finishes her tasks, but the manager John is her friend, her close friend. He often gives Evie Kate's work to complete. So Evie is feeling overwhelmed because she has both Kate's and her own work to complete. So by the end of the day, it's 8 p.m. Evie is still working while Kate and John have both gone home. Did you notice the source of conflict in that scenario? Of course, that was a case of preferential treatment by management. But what other sources of conflict can you think of in the workforce? Well, we can have conflict between different departments, not just individuals. And poor communication often leads to conflict, as well as verbal abuse. Other things as well, like poor working conditions and pay disputes. What about unfair dismissal? And of course, sexual harassment. Also, the refusal to allow employees to gain trade union representation often leads to conflict. So, what did you learn in today's lesson? Did you pay attention to find the definition of conflict? Can you tell me that definition in your own words? What about examples of positive and negative conflict in your own life? And of course, can you tell me 3 sources of conflict in the workplace? Whatever you know, don't forget to share. Thank you.